All right, in this next video, we're going to start getting into these wacky problems. So a lot of these problems are going to require you to either Google something, estimate something, make a guess about something, measure something. The information's not always going to be in the problem, and not all of the information in the problem is going to be relevant. It's trying to simulate real life. Some of these problems will do this better than others. I think the coolest problem I saw in the homework that I was doing answers for was you have to research and compare prices on driving, flying, and taking a train somewhere. So that includes things like parking, renting a car, prices for flights, prices for gas, thinking about car maintenance and stuff like that, incorporating all this information that the problem's not giving you, but you have to logically think through and account for. So these can take a long time. Okay, so there's a problem solving process. You can use this process if you want. It might help if you're stuck, or you can solve these problems in a logical order that makes sense to you as well, provided it's correct. Okay, so the way that I approach these is not always the same as this, but I'll try to show this step-by-step process in this problem that we're doing right here. So this is example 1.15. And it says that we've got a grocery store and they have bulk pecans on sale, which is great since a baker is planning on making 10 pecan pies. All right, making 10 pecan pies, you're probably gonna need quite a few pecans. I don't know, I've never made a pecan pie. I have eaten one though, if that counts. So the recipe calls for 1 3/4 cups of pecans per pie. And remember, we do need 10 of them. So right off the bat, you might be thinking, well, if I need 10 of them and each one is this, how many cups do I need? That's something that you can maybe do. It's not, right? That's not the problem solving process here, but that's what immediately I would think, and maybe you think that too. And if not, that's fine. We have the process here. In the bulk section though, there's only a scale, right? This is just a giant tub of pecans. And there's no measuring cups. There's just a scale, and you see, okay, well, how much do these pecans weigh? That's how much you have to pay. That's, you know, they're selling them in bulk. They're not just packages of pecans. So anyway, I'm getting distracted. There's no measuring cup. We can't measure 1 3/4 10 times. But what we can do is we can say, well, if we knew how much pecans weighed, we'd be good to go. So the baker runs over to the baking aisle and finds a bag of pecans and looks at the nutrition label to gather some info. How many pounds of pecans should the baker purchase? Okay. So, step 1, identify the question. How many pounds? How many pounds of pecans does this baker need? That's step 1. We've identified the question. We're looking for how many pounds of pecans. Now we need to work backwards. Okay, so identify what information do we need. We need to know the relationship between cups of pecans and pounds of pecans. Let's write these things down. Okay, step 1. How many pounds do we need? That was step 1. What are we being asked to do? Step 2. What information do I need? Well, I need the relationship between cups of pecans and pounds. Is that it? Maybe. If there's other things, let's leave a little blank. Maybe we'll think of other things that we need. Okay. Step 3, continue working backwards, creating a solution pathway. So we need to figure out what steps we're going to do to solve the problem. So let's think, okay, so we have a scale. We don't have a measuring cup. We have a scale, so we can weigh the bag of pecans to find this relationship. Once we do that, we also need to find out how many cups we need, right? Because we need 1 3/4 for each, and we're making 10 of those. So it's 1.75 times 10. That's 17.5 cups. Be very careful when you're multiplying with mixed numbers. This is 7/4, or this is 1 3/4. This is 1.75. So times 10 is going to be 17.5. That doesn't say cap. That says cups. Okay. Step 4, if information is missing, look it up or estimate it. If you have unnecessary information, ignore it. So these are the things that we're given. This problem didn't actually tell you how much the bag weighed, but we're going to go and weigh it. So I'm saying that when we go and weigh it, this is what we're going to find out. Sometimes you may need to look it up, Google it, figure it out yourself. But for the purposes of this problem, we're just going to say, all right, this bag weighs 6.6 ounces. So there's unnecessary information too, right? We don't need to know how many grams of fat there are in these pecans. We don't care about how unhealthy these pecan pies are. We just want to make them. Okay? We don't care about the cholesterol. So be very careful. It's tempting to say, oh, this is 1 cup. 1 cup of pecans is 6.6 ounces. But wait, I'm gesturing with my cursor. You can't see my cursor. There we go. It's tempting to say 1 cup is 6.6 ounces, but remember, 1 cup is the serving size, and there's 2 servings in this. So this bag, right? This bag is 2 cups. So if 2 cups weigh 6.6 ounces, that means 1 cup is going to be half of that. 1 cup is going to be about 3.3 ounces. So we can fill that in. 1 cup equals about 3.3 ounces. Well, we want to know in pounds, right? How many pounds are we buying, not ounces? So that's something else that we're going to have to convert. So now we have to go through this whole relationship and get everything in the right units and do some math with our calculator while we're buying pecans. All right, for our wedding. Well, not our wedding. We're the baker for the wedding. All right, so a couple of orders on which you can do this, but 1 cup is 3.3 ounces. So 17.5 cups is this many ounces times 17.5. So we go to our calculator and say 17.5 times, that's the division symbol. I don't know why my 10 key skills are so weak on my keyboard. 17.5 times 3.3 ounces. So 17.5 cups is 57.75 ounces. Convert that to pounds. I think we're going to be good to go. All right. So 16 ounces in a pound. And again, there's a couple of ways to convert these. You can also just divide this by 16. You can express it as a fraction, however you want to do it. But we are going to divide it by 16 and say this divided by 16 is about 3.61 pounds. This is approximately how many pounds of pecans we need. Okay. So before we give our final answer, we should do 2 things. Look at step 1. Did we actually answer the question? And read over the problem again to make sure we didn't miss anything, because some of these problems can be pretty complicated, and it's important to double check that we're actually doing what's right. So how many pounds of pecans needed? We said this. Sure, we are answering the question that we identified. Let's go back to the problem and make sure we're not missing anything. The grocery store has bulk pecans on sale, which is great since a baker is planning on making 10 pecan pies. The recipe calls for 1 3/4 cups of pecans per pie. Yes, we used that information to figure out how many cups of pecans we needed. In the bulk section, there's only a scale, not a measuring cup, so we need the weight. We can't just measure the cups. The baker runs over to the baking aisle and finds a bag. We're not buying the bag, we're just borrowing it. And looks at nutritional label to gather some info. We need to figure out how many pounds of pecans, so we went and weighed it. Found this out. Yep, looks like we did the problem correctly. All right, there's a lot of fat. There's a lot of fat in most nuts, right? It's kind of one of their things. Also, this is for a cup. It's actually, that is a lot of fat. But nuts are fatty, right? That's a common thing, right? Anyway, we're done with the problem. We're done with the video. Good luck. Get started.